I've gone into Chemist Warehouse and I show like there's no deeper shades. And so that's where the problem is. You go in there, you see the marketing, go, oh, they'll have my shade. And then you're like, oh, it's actually not there at all. So
Yeah.
for us, we thought, well, so I guess a little bit about the name of our brand, All Shades Matter. It's because the deeper shades matter too. So we,
Absolutely.
why are we not at the forefront of beauty?
Polish in my hand, I'm ready to create each nail a masterpiece. I can hardly wait. Soft pastels or vibrant hues, each tells a tale in their artistry of nails. Nothing ever fails. With each swirl and twirl, let the magic begin in this kingdom of gloss. There's no end to the wind. Gloss on my fingertips, watch them shine bright. Painted like a canvas, colors taking flight. Feeling fierce and fabulous, I'm ready to ignite. Slaying the nail game every single night. Nails and beauty talk with Asia the Bird. Nails and beauty talk with Asia the Bird.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with us today, she is the founder of All Shades Matter Cosmetics. Please welcome Tali. Hello, Tali, and welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, glad to have you. So I want to go ahead and get started with this interview by asking, where are you from, and tell us about your upbringing.
All right. So, as I mentioned, I'm Tali. So, I am 30, turning 31 this year. I am from Melbourne, Australia. So, down the bottom of Australia. So, growing up, I guess a little bit of our background. So, both Shaanti and I, Shanti's our other co founder as well, we were both adopted from India. So, we were in the same adoption group. So, I was adopted from Calcutta when I was 15 months old. So if you've seen the movie Lion, the main boy Saru, I was from the same orphanage as Saru. So the orphanage in the movie is slightly overreacted, a little bit over-exaggerated, but it was a beautiful place. So my parents are both white Australian and they could not have their own children. They went through IVF and everything like that, and unfortunately it didn't work. So one of their friends had adopted from India as well. So they decided, let's do the same thing. And then I also have an older brother who is not biologically my brother, but he was 6 months old, also adopted from the same orphanage in Calcutta. So super lucky to be here. I grew up in Melbourne, grew up in Camberwell, which is a suburb kind of near the city. And now I'm down the coast, down in the Mornington Peninsula, which I love. I love being near the beach. And same as Shaanti, she's on the other side of the bay towards Geelong. So we're both little beach babes. We love being near the beach. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I was a primary teacher before I started this business for 7 years, completely different industry. So absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So did you always aspire to be a part of the beauty industry from a young age? And what aspects of the industry ignited your interest?
Oh, so I think from a young age, honestly, I wanted to do something creative, whether it was more like graphic design or interior design or something like that. But I ended up in teaching because mum was a teacher. And then, you get to your high school and you go, I don't know what I want to do. So I thought, I'll just do teaching for a bit, see if I like it. And obviously I loved it. It was very rewarding, but I was more, interested in what the classroom looked like and the aesthetics and like all that kind of thing. So that led us, both Shaanti and I. So growing up, as I mentioned, we're in the same adoption group and we're actually 5 years apart. So our age groups, when we were young, we didn't chat as much, but growing up into our teenage years, that's when we started talking about beauty and things like that. So I think for us, that's when we started talking about what the issue was. But yeah, I think more so I just wanted to be in an industry that it was creative and, it let you sort of freely express yourself. So I guess we ended up in the beauty industry, but both of us, I think, never really wore a lot of makeup. And, later in the interview, I'm sure we'll chat about just, some role models and things. We actually didn't have that many. So for us, we sort of found our own way, to be honest. And then the other part of the question, sorry, just remind me what the other part of the question.
So, so what aspects of the industry ignited your interest?
Oh, I think honestly, just the people. It's a very innovative industry. It's quite dynamic, and there's just so many opportunities in the beauty industry. Like
Right.
we've worked alongside so many makeup artists, with TV and film and things. And, before when we started our business, we didn't realize, obviously it's a thing, but we didn't realize that we'd have that sort of connection into that world as well. And then, you've got
Mhm.
the retail side of things, you've got the fashion side of things, like
Right.
we sponsored Australian Fashion Week last year and then Melbourne Fashion
Right.
Festival this year. So there's just so
Mhm.
many different elements to it that you don't realize. So I think that's the
Mhm.
main thing that sparked our interest.
Mm. So, what aspect of your work or activities has been the most educational for you?
I definitely think, like, because we're not from beauty backgrounds ourselves, so as I mentioned, I was a primary teacher and then Shaanti was in retail
Mhm.
and logistical management. So I
Mhm.
think having just learnt the experience, even from our manufacturers, from the day dot, learning from the cosmetic chemists, the
Right.
ingredients and the things that go into the products and thought processes behind starting a product, but also
Mhm.
working alongside makeup artists, all the different, I guess, techniques that go into makeup
Right.
artistry. You don't think about that at all, and how, I guess, technical it can be. And
Mhm.
also working, I think for us, we love just connecting with a whole range of different people. Like we have met so
Right.
many different people, and we've just learnt so much from fashion, beauty, film,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a really, really exciting journey.
Absolutely. That's really, really cool. So I want to go ahead and push forward and talk about your brand, All Shades Matter Cosmetics.
Mhm.
So you both have your own makeup brand of foundation shades called All Shades Matter Cosmetics. So tell us the story behind how the brand came about.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, both of us were adopted and growing up here in Australia. I was a dancer and a
Mm.
gymnast, and,
Mm.
when I was younger, and, you'd have to wear makeup for those stage shows and your performances and things like that. And, you'd get put, people would put makeup on you and it looked completely wrong. Like, you'd get your makeup done and
Right.
you're like, you look like
Mhm.
either a ghost or a clown. Like, honestly, it just was not right. But that was the only
Yeah.
option we had. And I don't know if
Mhm.
you remember the Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse that everyone used to wear. Like, we would just slap the whole thing on and, you know,
Mm.
did you not remember the product? It was
I don't
like,
think so.
oh, it was in like this little pot and it was like this, I don't know how to explain it. It was like this kind of thick, moussey texture, and you would just slap it on with your hands. But
Mm.
I just remember looking so orange from a lot of the products that you go into, like the chemist
Mm.
warehouse and the drugstore products, just looked super orange. So yeah, growing up, I went to an all-girls school. And you'd want to go out with your friends and you'd get ready in the bathrooms to go see the boys after school or whatever. And yeah, we would just have to find whatever the darkest or deepest shade was in our drugstore stores. And yeah, it was like a sand or a beige or an ivory. And we're like, that's not, I guess we'll have to wear it. It's
Mm.
the only option. And then, yeah,
Mhm.
just before COVID happened, we had this conversation of, well, why should we have to keep waiting? Like this, Australia is such a multicultural country, let alone the rest of the world. So
Right.
we thought, why not? We're not going to have to keep waiting. Let's do something about it. And, whilst
Yeah.
we're clearly aware that foundation products do exist, we were like, well, there's still something not quite right. And, as I said, I was a primary teacher. We want a
Mhm.
product that for the next generations to come is affordable, it's accessible, it's inclusive. So we thought, stuff it. We're going to start our own company, but we're going to do things in reverse and we're going to start where the need is. So we're going to start where with the deeper shades and then go backwards towards the lighter shades and then fill in the gaps from there. So that's what we've
Mhm.
done. And for us, the most important thing was like we obviously started with the Australian market because that's where we want to close the gap here. And then we've been
Mhm.
fortunate to obviously expand, which I'll answer later on in the interview too.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Now, what did you do like as far as like dance? Did you do like tap, jazz?
Everything. So I did literally point, ballet, contemporary, jazz, hip hop. I even did one of my high school, like we have year 12 here, this is what we call our final year. And year 11 and
Right.
12, you could choose a subject. And I did VCE dance, which is like a subject essentially to final high school years. So that was one of my
Hmm.
subjects, which was really amazing. But yeah, for gymnastics, I was an elite gymnast. So, I was doing 40 hours a week of training in grade 4 when I was
Wow.
really young. So yeah, makeup and beauty was a huge part of that for competitions and
Mm.
things.
Absolutely. So I want to get into this other question. So you went to Chemist Warehouse in Australia, talking about the deception of branding and misrepresentation of skin tones.
Mm.
Why did you prioritize creating darker foundation shades and then gradually develop lighter shades, as discussed in your TikTok video showcasing the 4 foundation shades designed for brown and dark skin tones?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, all the drugstore stores here, whilst they have some deeper shades, the marketing for us is where it's been off. So, they'll
Mm.
advertise that there's, here's all these beautiful imagery of all the deeper skin tones and whatnot, but on the shelves it doesn't exist. And we go, well, what's the point of that? You don't want to just be here to tick a box, and that's what we're not about. We're not just here to tick some box to show that we're inclusive. Like actually being,
Right.
if you're going to be inclusive, be inclusive. So,
Right.
you know, in that video I mentioned, I've gone into Chemist Warehouse and I show like there's no deeper shades. And so that's where the problem is. You go in there, you see the marketing, go, oh, they'll have my shade.
Mm.
And then you're like, oh, it's actually not there at all. So
Yeah.
um, for us, we thought, well, so I guess a little bit about the name of our brand, All Shades Matter. It's because the deeper shades matter too. So
Absolutely.
why are we not at the forefront of beauty? Why it's the 21st century? Why have we been left out for such a long time? So for
Hmm.
us, we're like, well, there's so many other brands that have the lighter shades, and there's so much access to that. So why not do the
Hmm.
opposite? Why not do the opposite of what everybody else is doing?
Right.
We're both women of color ourselves. We've gone through the experience and the struggle of not finding foundation, and I think that's been a really good, a selling point, but also just people can come to us and feel comfortable buying our products because they know we've gone through the
Right.
experience as well. It's not just a random person that's
Mhm.
owning the company, that's not of color perhaps, or that hasn't gone through the experiences. So for us, we thought, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, we're going to start where the point of need is. And it's been fantastic. And that's exactly where it needs to be. That's what brands should be doing essentially.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I remember like here in America, we have a drugstore, drugstore called CVS.
Yeah.
We have CVS, Walgreens. They do like they sell the medicine and they sell the makeup and all this other stuff. I remember going to CVS like when I was in college. I didn't see like the darker shades.
Mm,
For darker skinned women. So I'm glad that you and Fenty and other brands are saying, yo, like we're going where the need is, especially with Rihanna. Like Rihanna really, really touched on the shades for
yes.
women. From the lightest to the darkest. And she really set the tone for the cosmetic industry.
100%. And we were on a TV show here called Studio 10, which is kind of like a Good Morning America, I guess, kind of equivalent. In 2021, just as Fenty had been released, actually. And they said to us, what's the point of difference? Obviously, she's come out with 50 Shades or whatever. And for us, obviously, we're both women of color. It's Australian made and Australian owned. And we're starting with the deeper shades. So that was our biggest point of difference. And obviously the price point and everything like that. And we're not a celebrity. So yeah, I think what we're doing has made a huge impact already.
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. I could totally agree with that wholeheartedly. So, as far as your brand, will your brand expand its product range to include items like lipsticks, lip balms, concealers, blushes, or will it remain focused solely on foundations?
Ooh. There's so many things that we can say, but can't say at the same time. I think for us, when we started our brand, we thought, okay, we want to
Hmm.
be the go-to brand for people of color for
Hmm.
basic products, your everyday
Okay.
basic products. That's what I'll
Hmm.
say. We have a
Okay.
few things in the works, so stay tuned. But yeah, I guess we want to be the go to brand for your everyday basic products.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to get into as far as conversations. So, what has been the conversations and plus the feedback been like surrounding the brand?
There's been only positive feedback. Like we've been really fortunate. So we started our brand, as I mentioned, back in 2019 over a glass of wine, 1 a.m. We were stuffing around on Canva with logos. And then it turned into where it is now. And
Right.
at the start, we thought, who knows where this is going to go? Like, we have no idea. And, the minute we even had our pre-orders and we started our social media, I just remember we got like flooded with messages like, oh my God, finally a
Yeah.
brand that is coming out for people of color. And we had so many people, over the age of 50, even up to 70, going, oh, I've waited for so long for something like this. It's ridiculous
Yeah.
that I've had to wait this long. Then we've had makeup artists going, I've been in the industry for 40 plus years. And back in the day, like even now, like some of the palettes we get given have like no shades and I've just had to mix them and they're still not right. So
Right.
we've had a whole range of different dynamic conversations from different industries, everyday people that are just grateful. And a lot of people just share their stories with us, which is really nice. And it
Mhm.
makes you think, okay, we're doing the right thing. We're here for the right reasons. We know that,
Right.
but everybody else can see that too. It's not just another brand. So
Mhm.
that's the biggest, we love hearing feedback of even from, so this is the one thing for us too is in our marketing, we have men in our photography because we thought, well, men wear makeup too. And I think
Right.
that's been a massive point of feedback for us too, going, oh my God, you've got males in your photography. That's perfect. And, we've had so many comments and messages from guys that do wear makeup and, all different genders going, about time,
Right.
I feel seen. I feel like I can express myself. So
Mhm.
I don't understand why it's not a thing, you know?
Mhm.
So it's been really,
Yeah,
really
right.
positive.
I want to get into cosmetic laws and regulations in Australia. So, in regards to starting a beauty brand, specifically a makeup brand, what are some like the stipulations for releasing beauty products, such as like foundations and stuff like that, possibly?
Well, I think the main thing is doing your research and understanding
Hmm.
ingredients, making sure the ingredients are compliant within your country. Um,
Hmm.
because that's a massive thing. Because the minute you start like importing overseas and things like a lot of the ingredients might be blacklisted or whatnot. So you've got to really check that in the formulation stage and your research and development stage. And obviously checking the regulatory like FDAs and things like that. Because if you don't comply with
Hmm.
them, it can cause you a whole world of trouble when it comes to like packaging. And because when you're doing, large quantities, a lot of the minimum order quantities are so large that if you get it wrong,
Right.
you've got to spend all that money and do it all over again. So
Right.
for us, research, working alongside your cosmetic chemist to understand
Hmm.
products and the ingredients that are going in there and making sure they are, well, ethical, but also comply with the laws within the country that you're not only trading in, but where
Right.
it goes. So, for example, like we have our ingredients in the European standards. That's just a general worldwide, like the labeling format is a general. A lot of people use
Hmm.
the European standards for the labeling.
Hmm.
But then if you go to like America, for example, so once we start shipping to America, the labeling changes. So the order of your ingredients changes. So just there's
Hmm.
little kind of things that you've got to think about when you start shipping into other countries and stuff as well. So that's what you've got to think about from the very, very start of starting, I guess, a product or a brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for someone who wants to start their own makeup brand, what would be your advice for someone who wants to get started?
Just start. Honestly, just start. But
Yeah.
I think that's what people are so hesitant with just any idea you've this there are so many amazing ideas in the world, whether it's beauty or whatever industry, that people have and don't start because they're too worried of what other people think. And I remember when we first started, a couple of people, you have those people in high school that are, they say things about you in high school, and the minute you start something, and of course they start talking to you, oh my God, I love what you're doing, and da 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 da.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, of course they do. But we just go, no, stop everybody else. If you've got a passion for something, start it.
Yeah.
That's it doesn't matter what anybody else says. You stay in your own lane. You learn your experience through experience. And if you
Hmm.
love something enough, just start it and do your research. I think that's the biggest thing, making sure you have a business plan, you have the right support network with you, because there's going to be good and tough times as well. And,
Right.
going to a lot of networking events and meeting people, I think is really important as well.
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. What would be your advice as far as branding and marketing a makeup brand?
Ooh. I would say try and have a unique point of difference, because, a lot of brands are starting to look the same across various industries, but let alone the beauty industry.
Right.
And I think the beauty industry, it can be so saturated. So I think you want to make
Mhm.
sure that you've got a point of difference in your marketing and that you stay true to yourself.
Mhm.
Don't try and do what somebody else is doing. Just stick to what you want to do, because
Right.
that'll make a point of difference in itself. All right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I want to go ahead and push forward and talk about Euphoria. So, what was your response upon witnessing the controversy surrounding Euphoria, the brand that faced backlash for releasing their date night foundation in a shade from black oxide, which was criticized by the makeup community and black women for not being suitable for consumers with darker skin tones?
Honestly, I was just really shocked. I both of us just couldn't believe what we were seeing, to be honest.
Mm,
It's a well-known brand, and I think for a brand that is more well-known, we were, I guess, surprised that the research behind it didn't go into it very thoughtfully or carefully.
right.
Perhaps if you're a very small startup brand and you've made a little mistake once and you go, oh, but to ask to have something that is literally one color to the extreme, like you've gone from, I'm not sure if you've seen the video of Gloria, who's an American um,
Yeah, I've seen the video.
I guess, influencer, um,
Yeah, yeah.
when they initially sent her the deeper shades and it was completely too light, and then they'd gone to the complete other opposite extreme of where it's literally black. So I
Mm,
just don't understand where that can happen. But for us, so I made that video because I wanted to show that you can make deeper shades. So our deepest shade at the moment is, similar, but it's obviously not directly black. So we wanted to show that
yeah,
you can make those deeper shades with the right hues and undertones and whatnot, but it can be done correctly and not
right.
not in an extreme way.
Side of my face is the black face paint or the Euphoria foundation. You can't tell. You know why? Tar in a bottle. This is jet black face paint, and this is the darkest shade of the Euphoria Date Night foundation. This is black face paint. This is the darkest shade of the Euphoria foundation. A few months ago, I tried the darkest shade of the Euphoria foundation. This is what it looked like on me. I'm gonna apply some of the foundation on this side of my face so you guys can see. Let's just go ahead and try to blend this out, you guys. Enough. Who is that color? I'm gonna wipe this off and let me put the paint all over my face. I'm literally just going in with the face paint. We're gonna do some painting and let me just go ahead and blend it out with a brush. This is the darkest shade of the Euphoria foundation. This is black face paint. Sometimes it's okay to say, hey, maybe my brand is not made for complexion. I'm gonna squeeze a pump of this on my forehead just right out the bottle so you guys can see that I'm literally not joking. We're gonna do a big blend of this, you guys. When we say that we want you guys to make shades for us, we don't mean to go to the lab and ask for minstrel show black. What we mean is to take the browns that you have made, create undertones, and do what you need to do in the lab so it's a darker shade of brown. This is the darkest shades, shade 600. And as you guys can see in the bottle, literally jet black. The shade right next to it is shade 590. This is what it looks like in the bottle. Here is shade 600. You guys, there could be like 10 more shades in between these two shades. In addition to that, when we go to the actual website and we look at the swatch, not only is the swatch online literally jet black, there's literally only 4 or 5 shades for people that actually have dark complexions. Not really for black people, for being honest. Not only in 2024 is this so disgusting and disrespectful, but this needs to be pulled off the shelves.
You've all seen this picture all over your FYP, but have you seen this? So this is All Shades Matter, an Australian brand. So I'm Tali, one of the co-founders of All Shades Matter Cosmetics, along with my friend Shaanti. We were both adopted from India and could not find any foundation here growing up. So honestly, we would just resort to like the darker shade, which was like beige or sand or whatever. hence why we created our brand. So we currently have 4 shades, but we are starting with the darker shades and going backwards in reverse to the lighter shades because that is where the need is, not only in Australia, but clearly globally. So this is our darker shade, 40 Cherish. This is what it looks like on the website. This is a before, this is an after. And you can also see what the swatch looks like on the website and then also up on the packaging as well. And I'll show you what it looks like in a real life picture with no editing. So that's shade 40 right there. You can see it's the same on the box and also on the swatch. And this has no editing. And now I'm going to show you how the foundation has been used on different people. So this was on a koi in our first campaign shoot. That's another before and after of her. It was used here at Australian Fashion Week last year. Again here for Fashion Week. So if you're looking for an inclusive foundation, we are here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first saw the video, it was an insult to women of darker shades,
Yes.
Especially black women, and the fact that they were just lazy and just said, okay, here's a black foundation, it wasn't cool.
Yeah, but even I guess, I suppose from a business perspective, again, as I mentioned before, you're ordering things in multiple quantities. Like for them, I can imagine they'd be ordering hundreds of thousands of units. Why would you not consider that in your research and formulation stage carefully, if especially when
Right.
you're sending it to big influencers, your brand is global. So
Right.
to not consider that in that process, I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah,
It's offensive. It's offensive.
yeah, absolutely. It is offensive. I want to get into as far as the beauty industry. What are some things you like about the beauty industry?
It's just fun. It's a fun industry. Like I don't know. I feel like, as I mentioned before, you can be so creative and,
Right.
confident. Like you can feel confident to express
Yeah.
yourself in so many different ways, whether it's through makeup looks or, just going to certain events and dressing up and, getting to know a whole heap of different people. Like for us, for example, we had 2 events called a sip and sample. So we had one in Melbourne and one in Sydney that we hosted. And we had a makeup artist come along and, she showcased how we could use our products. And then it was just more getting to know each other, like connecting with other people of color and having a glass of
Right.
wine and just having fun in the industry. And then people, since those events, have become friends and gone to other events together with each other. So, I think it's a fun industry where you can be playful, you can be creative, and you can just meet so many different people.
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. Now, where's your perspective on racism and colorism in the makeup community?
There's been a lot of different articles that we've read and things that we've not only, I guess, experienced, but seen other people experience that is very disheartening, I would say. So I guess a little bit of a context about the both of us. So as I mentioned, we both have grown up predominantly in a Caucasian society. So, we didn't have that many friends of color growing up because we went to predominantly Caucasian schools. And I guess we were actually, I think at my school, I was the only person of color in the year level I was in, and there weren't that many. So,
Right.
We were fortunate enough to not have experienced that much racism growing up ourselves. There might have been like when I was at the girls' school, that was purely all girls. A couple of girls would make, silly comments and things. But I think we were fortunate that we were raised in families that we could be resilient and stand up for ourselves. So we'd say, that's not cool, or, that's, I don't like how you've said that. So we were fortunate enough to stand up and say something. But in the beauty industry, I think it's just really disheartening to see that, the 21st century, you're going to big fashion events. As I mentioned, we sponsored Australian Fashion Week last year up in Sydney and then Melbourne Fashion Festival this year. And we were fortunate, obviously, our products were used. But prior to that, you see a lot of models on the runway that are of colour getting their makeup done and they look completely transparent or, orange, the other spectrum as well. And they don't get a say in it for the most part. They're getting paid or they're just getting their makeup done from professional makeup artists. And it's not necessarily against the makeup artists because they do an amazing job, but just the education behind it. And I think it's a bit off. And so we haven't, I guess, as I mentioned before, we haven't directly experienced that much racism, but I think in the beauty industry, there is a lot of it and it shouldn't be happening. Honestly, as I said, it's the 21st century. Inclusion and diversity should be at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Racism and colorism, I honestly, as I said, I was a primary teacher for so long. We are so multicultural as a country and as a globe. Like, we teach this in primary school. You accept other people no matter what skin tone they have. And
Absolutely.
I would instill that in my students from a young age, from prep to grade 6. It shouldn't matter. But it's just really unfortunate that it is still happening. As you said, you see across all TikTok and the experiences that people go through, whether they're models or just even working in the industry. Like we've come across even people that are working in the film industry, for example, but they're getting their makeup done for, like, if they're a news reporter or whatever. And again, either the makeup's wrong, or they get treated in a way that, oh well, you don't matter. Or you can't get a job in this industry because you're of color, or you're a female, or just ridiculous. I don't know. I honestly just think it's ridiculous and it's unfair. And grow up. This is like a multicultural society. Everyone should be accepting everybody.
Absolutely. Now, where do you see your brand in the next 5 years from now?
Oh, so many things. I think for us, we want to just be more accessible to everybody. So whilst we only have 4 shades now, we're a small business, you've got to start somewhere. So we'll be expanding and filling in the gaps. But for us, we have expanded to shipping locations, maybe like 7 or 8 countries now, which is really exciting. But we want to go global. We want to be accessible to all countries. And hopefully, go into some retail stores, maybe potentially have our own store one day. Like, that would be the absolute dream. But I think the biggest goal for us is just to be more accessible to everybody.
Absolutely, most definitely. And what was the last part you said?
And have more like other products within our range.
Yeah. That'd be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and how can people contribute and support All Shades Matter Cosmetics?
Yeah, so on social media, just our handle is All Shades Matter Cosmetics. So you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, YouTube. We don't use as much, but we are on YouTube and Facebook. And you might see us on potentially TV, I'm not sure in America, but at the airports at the moment, because we are in a campaign with Australia Post at the moment. So we just did a recent video with them. So you might see us at the airports. I know we have been up on the screens at the airports here, and in the post offices. So you might see us there. But a way to contribute, honestly, just spread the word is the main thing for us. Just get the message out there that an inclusive brand does exist. They're Australian, they're female owned, we're women of color, and we're here to help you. And I think for us, one point of difference, which we haven't mentioned yet, is we actually have a shade match assist form on our website. So whilst we're predominantly online right now, we understand that it can be really difficult finding foundation online, but we have a form that literally takes 2 minutes to do. But we are on the back end of the screen. You're not talking to a robot or anything. So you fill in your form, you look at our shade and you go, does this one suit us? And we'll be honest with you. We'll tell you if it's not the right shade. You can our product's quite versatile, so you could use it as a contour or whatever, or wait till the next drop. We're never going to push a product towards you if we don't think it's the right shade for you. So just support in any way possible, just through word of mouth, following us on socials, or even just send us a message and say hi. We're happy to have a chat with you. So
yeah, it's really, really cool. Well, thank you so much, Tali, for jumping on. I love what you guys are doing, in regards to representing, all shades, and especially, for darker skinned women. I like how you started that. Like, let's start where the need is. And that's very, very important. And I love what you guys are doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I wish you the best of luck with your brand. And I definitely hope it flourishes and, things of that nature. So just thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for having us. And we look forward to seeing what's next.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.
See you later.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye-bye.